estate agent said to Mum and Dad, if you buy the house, we'll give you the vineyard for free.
They wanted a house and all of a sudden they ended up with
70 acres of vineyard,
Wow.
yes. My dad, he went to the local TAFE and did some winemaking courses. You don't get into wine to make money. That's not the important thing. The most important thing is you've got to make great wine, and then the rewards potentially come after that. This was actually called his ballroom.
I see a very special signature.
John Howard, the ex-Prime Minister, the grand final of wine trophies to win, and we were very fortunate. We have around about 1,500 barrels in here.
Hi, I'm Melina Reddy and welcome to Foreign Influence. Today we're in the Barossa Valley, South Australia, and we're visiting family-owned Elderton Winery. Cameron, thank you so much for welcoming us into your beautiful winery.
Thanks for coming. We're very proud of what we've established over the years here. So, yeah, welcome.
Tell us about your family history and how you ended up in the Barossa region.
Well, it's crazy, really. It was a real twist of fate. My family are originally from Victoria. We've lived in Queensland, and we actually moved for Saudi Arabia for a while.
That would have been an experience.
That was a massive experience for the family, living in Saudi. Like, I was 5 years old at the time. We had a great time. We rode motorbikes in the desert. I went to a real English school, had a very British accent when I came back.
Posh.
I was very posh, but it took me only 6 weeks to lose that when I arrived back at the local school here. I was teased incessantly, yeah. My family, I think my mum and dad didn't really understand what they were getting themselves into. And what happened is they found this wonderful house.
It looks incredible.
It is. Yeah. It's a great venue. It's like one of those great chateaus you see in Europe, you know, those old family wine estates. The Barossa then isn't what it is today. No one wanted Barossa Shiraz. And this place was on the market for 3 years, very unloved, very run down. The real estate agent said to Mum and Dad, if you buy the house, we'll give you the vineyard for free. So we're the right people at the right time, at the right place.
Wow.
Very, very fortunate.
They must have felt really overwhelmed. They wanted a house and all of a sudden they ended up with
70 acres of vineyard,
Wow.
yes. So it was very bizarre at the time.
Have they had any experience in winemaking?
None whatsoever. Like Dad, he went to the local TAFE and did some winemaking courses. But what happened was we were selling our grapes to some small wineries, you may have heard of them, Wolf Blass, Penfolds.
Yeah.
And in the early 80s, no one wanted this fruit. Mum and Dad were left with this really hard decision as to what to do. And there were a whole lot of scenarios, I suppose. And in the end, they decided to make their own wine with the help of the late Peter Lehman. And the first vintage of that was 1982, which was, we made a Shiraz, we made a Cabernet. And that was a really fledgling start, but the rest, they say, is history.
Your family has had this business for 40 years.
Yeah, so the first vintage was 82, so we're coming on to our 42nd vintage next year, so vintage 23. So we're very proud of that, and we celebrated, unfortunately, during COVID.
Yep.
So we had all these amazing parties planned all around the world, but unfortunately, almost none of them took place.
Not yet. Not yet.
That's right.
Yeah.
So we'll celebrate our 50th, yes, which will be even bigger, I suppose.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Please tell me about your involvement. How did you get involved in the family business?
I always thought I would be involved with the family business at some point in time. I remember coming here as a 7-year-old and seeing just all these beautiful vineyards and seeing all the farm machinery and harvesters like UFOs and so forth.
UFOs?
They were, because they operate at night and they make this noise. And, Yeah, they're just stunning to see. We actually pick by hand these days. What I always thought was I should go off and do something else. And so I worked for very large global corporations for around 12 years.
Well, it was good for you to get life experience.
It was excellent. I had a really great time, lived in places like Sydney, London and Munich, and really enjoyed what I did. But in 2003, I thought I'd make the decision to come back and join my brother, who'd been here since 1999, and it was probably time for the next generation to take over from mum and dad as well.
What is your role? What are your day-to-day duties?
To do as little as possible, but probably my primary role with my brother Alistair is to go out and market these wines. We sell wine to 30 countries around the world as well as Australia. I love getting on a plane and telling the story, I suppose. But as well as that, I just help run the company. It's quite a diverse company, but I probably suppose where I get the most inspiration is from my wife, who is head of production. Her name is Jules. She's made wine all around the world. So she's made wine in the USA, Chile, Spain, France, New Zealand, and she's also made wine for her family company in Rutherglen called Campbell's. She oversees all the vineyards and the winemaking here, and I get real inspiration from her as well.
So you married strategically, I can see.
Yes. It's all about the romance. It did come with other added benefits as well. She's a very busy lady going between 3 wine companies. I think her first love, and she probably hates me for saying this, it would be Elderton. Followed by Campbell's, Okay. So, but who knows, yeah.
What do you think of Barossa region?
Obviously, I love the Barossa. I think it's one of the greatest wine regions of the world. If you think about it, there's 775 growers, there's about 200 producers, and there's about 100 celladors. And today there's probably 10 world-class restaurants you can come and visit as well. But the great thing about the Barossa, and this is our sort of absolute advantage, is that we have the largest concentration of old vine vineyards anywhere in the world. And the reason for that...
Fascinating.
I know, it's amazing. So we have the world's oldest Shiraz, Cabernet, Grenache and Mataro. And the reason for that is we haven't had phylloxera, which is like a little insect aphid that attacks the vine's roots.
Parasite?
Yeah, parasite. And we haven't had that in the Barossa. These vineyards, they could, in theory, if you look after them, they could go forever. And generally speaking, the older you have vine, the deeper root structures it has, and the more complexity and better tannins that you see through the wine as well.
How many people during the weekend would you host here for wine tasting?
Not that many, to be honest. We probably have 40 people per day that come through here. The great thing about Elderton is that we personally look after every group that comes through here, and we give you a lot of love and attention, and that way you get a much better understanding of the way that we make wine and the various characteristics of that wine as well.
Well, that's how it comes through, that it's a family business, and people, when they come in, they really feel it, that personal touch.
And that's very important to us. And you think about the great estates of the world, in almost all instances, families own them. And you really need to have that, because you need to have that longer term horizon. That short term in wine doesn't really make sense. You don't get into wine to make money. That's not the important thing. The most important thing is you've got to make great wine, and then the rewards potentially come after that. And I know with my family, my brother and I, we're really, really keen for our kids to continue on with our business, and build, this amazing family tree, I suppose.
How many children do you have?
I have 3 little boys who are 13, 11 and 9 at the moment, and my brother has 3 little girls who are...
Oh, wow.
I know, it's crazy. It just worked out.
How did that work out?
I don't know. They're about 2 years older than my boys, and we're hoping that at least one of them from either side, or at least one of the 6 will take over. And that's slowly happening. They're working in the warehouse, and they're working Charlotte's going to come and work behind the counter here in the next few weeks. And as well as that, our kids have been working in the vineyards as well. So they're getting a real grounding, I suppose, like Al and I did when we were young kids as well.
Terrific.
Yeah.
Well, please show us around.
I would love to show you around.
Have you done to the building since your family purchased it?
We've done quite a lot, actually, to be honest. The family sort of lived here in about 2011, and then I moved in with my wife and 3 kids, and we moved out in 16, and it's become our cellar door in 17, and everything you can think of has been changed. So we've knocked a few walls out, we've put some beautiful couches through, we've put technology through the place. There's a modern climate control as well. Everything you'd expect for a great tasting room experience.
I love the decor. I love this Art Deco style chandelier, but at the same time it's modern. Yeah. And I love how you managed to preserve very historical look.
It was very important to us. Like if you think about this room in particular, when Samuel Elderton Tolley built this place, this was actually called his ballroom. And if you go back through old newspaper articles, there was a lot of parties they used to have here. And it was really important for us to preserve this character, very important. And my mother was probably the inspiration behind that. She's got an amazing eye for detail. She finished the whole place.
And I love the touch with the fireplace, that it's all wood, and it really creates the atmosphere.
This fireplace should be heritage listed. It's pretty incredible. It's wax bricks. And I remember on one occasion when I was a young boy, my dad had it so hot that it actually caught on fire, the chimney.
Oh dear.
Yeah,
oh
I know,
goodness.
but luckily it's still here.
Yeah, lucky.
Yeah.
Well, show us other rooms that you've got
I would
here.
love to show you other rooms. Let's go for it. Cheers. This room here we refer to as the Founder's Room, so it's named after Mum and Dad. Very proud of that. It's actually a room that looks exactly like it did when we purchased the place.
Very original.
Very original, like the table, everything's the same, and the sideboards are exactly the same. We do a lot of tastings in here, and there's some lunches and dinners that we do here as well. But probably one of the coolest things in here is this menu over here, which is pretty incredible. It's a signed menu that was in the Great Hall in Parliament House.
I see a very special signature.
John Howard, the ex-Prime Minister when he was Prime Minister, and Her Majesty the Queen and His Royal Highness the Duke of Edinburgh were there, and one of 3 wines they had was our 2001 Elderton Cabernet Shiraz Merlot, which is a bit of a feather. Apparently there's been a few other occasions where they've had the wine as well, but this is the only time that it's been written down, so very fortunate.
This is incredible.
I know.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
I'm so proud of you.
Thank you. Thank you.
This is a bit chilly, a little bit cold. What is the perfect temperature for the wine?
Well, it depends on what you're trying to achieve, but this room here is 15 degrees Celsius, and that's a beautiful temperature to store these wines, some of them which have a cellar potential of like up to 40 years, which is pretty incredible when you think about it. But this room here is called the Duke Cellar. It's named after my grandfather, and he helped us purchase the vineyard originally. Again, he was another mentor, inspiration in our life. And the great thing about this room here is that not only does it house all our great wines from all the great vintages, but you can also do a tasting experience in here with myself and my brother. But you have to wear a jumper though, because it's sometimes too cold.
Or you have to drink a lot, so you don't feel the cold anymore.
You could, but I have a responsible service of alcohol badge, so I wouldn't do that to you, okay? So, yeah.
What is your favourite bottle?
Probably, to be completely honest, the one that we talk the most about is that 2002 Ode to Lorraine, that pink bottle up there. And there's a story that, like, Mum is now a little bit older, but for her 60th birthday, we wanted to celebrate it like there was nothing like it in the Barossa. My mother's very modest, she didn't want to do that. So we started arranging a surprise birthday party for her. She didn't want that. She found out about it and she confronted us and said, listen, if you continue on with this, I'm going to write you out the will. But we said, I know that's pretty bad, but we said, what do you want to do? And she said, ideally, I'd love to go to New York to go shopping. And we said, whilst you're there, we want to buy you dinner in one of New York's best restaurants. So she went to this amazing restaurant, 3-star Michelin, with a girlfriend of hers. They were seated next to Meryl Streep, the actress.
Oh, wow.
My brother likes to say he organised it, but it was completely random. And she went to go and buy an American bottle of Chardonnay, but the sommelier came back with a bottle of Ode to Lorraine that she had no idea existed. The whole company is sworn to secrecy. We secretly air freighted 2 bottles across there. And the somm said, perhaps you prefer to drink this Lorraine. Happy birthday. And because she'd never seen it before, she started to laugh because it's got her name on the front.
Wow.
And then she started, and then she read the sob story in the back and then started to cry. And she was really honoured that we'd made that wine for her. And that was the 2002 vintage. Yeah.
Well, it is very special indeed.
Yeah, thank you.
Cameron, that trophy really caught my eye. Could we
I would love to talk about it. Let's go and have a look, shall we? So this trophy at the time, and it still is today, is one of Australia's most famous wine trophies. It's called the Jimmy Watts Memorial Trophy, which is handed out at the Royal Melbourne Wine Show. And it's like the grand final of wine trophies to win. And we were very fortunate as a small company in the early 90s to win it. And it's awarded to the best...
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah.
We don't really enter anymore, but it's awarded to the best one-year-old red. And so we won with a 92 Cabernet, and a Shiraz actually came runner-up at the same time, like our wine. So that was a real kudos to us.
Wow.
But that put us on the map overnight, which was fantastic. Yeah. And this wine today, if you could buy it, it's still delicious. So it's got really amazing primary fruit, great balance with oak. It goes really well with Ossobuco.
Oh,
delicious.
That's actually my favorite dish. Cameron, your estate cellar is looking so impressive.
Thank you. We have around about 1,500 barrels in here, a combination of American and French oak. And we will store the wine in here from anywhere between 3 months or to almost 3 years, depending on the type of wine we're trying to make. It goes back to, you really need to use amazing barrels to make full-bodied fine Barossa wine. Otherwise, it doesn't really work any other way.
Where do you source the wood from?
So we use about 7 different coopers. So 6 of them come from France, and they bring the barrels as a whole into the country. And we also use a great company here in the Barossa for the American oak called AP Johns. And they actually make the barrels here in the Barossa. And they're, I think, 165 years old, this company. And they do an amazing job. And some of Australia's best wineries use these barrels, and we're very proud to use them as well.
Incredible.
Yeah.
What do you use this space for? Obviously to store the barrels, the wine.
Yes.
Anything else? Do you
we've had some incredible parties here. So every year we have one show called Red and Ribs. We have around about 120 people. Have some amazing caterers that come in, and it's all afternoon red wine, just lots of fun in the middle of winter. It's a great day. Or we had in here as well, I'm 50 now, but for my 40th birthday, we had Oktoberfest in the Barossa here, which was a lot of fun and very dangerous. Yeah. Lena, I'd love to show you these barrels here. These actually currently house our top wine called Cameron Ashmead. It's the 21 vintage. These are American oak, these are French oak, and the winemakers are really good at deciding as to what goes where. They'll look at these barrels every month, just smell and taste, and they'll also take some of the samples back into the lab to make sure they're all in balance. So being a winemaker is very difficult. I'm glad I don't do it. But, you know, as I was saying before, fine wine takes time, you know, and if you're trying to make some of the best wines in the world, you really need to use great barrels like these are.
Terrific.
So you'll use a barrel like this for up to about 4 years to transfer the oak flavouring, I suppose, if that's the way to put it. And then after that, the barrel's pretty much exhausted, but you can still use it for a storage vessel, and there's little small marginal uptakes in oak transfer. But after that, you just use it to store wine.
For sharing your family history about this magnificent winery. We wish you all the best for the future.
Thank you.
And lots of cheers to your beautiful wine.
Thank you. I've had fun, Alina. It's been a real honour hosting you here today, and I'd recommend for all your viewers, come and visit the Barossa, come and visit Elderton. Come here in the winter when it's cold, sit around a fire and have a beautiful glass of Barossa Shiraz.